Hey guys, welcome back to Games of War. Today's episode is going to be about Radiant Historia. Before we get started on this episode, I want to say the 10,000 subscriber special was supposed to come out like a month and a half ago. There's a couple of games that I really wanted to include in the giveaway that were back ordered. They are now available. They're on the way to my house, so I'll be doing the 10,000 subscriber, more like 11,000, whatever. Special very soon. I want to give away some really cool stuff to those that have really supported me on Patreon or by subscribing and commenting. So that video is coming. I've also been working really hard on an album. I've got a band. It's called 3 as 1. I play guitar. I have all my life. I play guitar with a buddy of mine, Jeff, and his wife, Becky. And we write some original tunes, and we've really been enjoying it lately. And we've got an album coming out. We just made a YouTube channel. So if you want to check out some of my music, I'll leave a link in the description for our channel. We don't have much up on it yet, but it'll give you an idea of where we're coming from, songwriting-wise. Radiant Historia, man. Holy shit. This game is probably my favorite handheld RPG of all time. Very close to my favorite game of all time. It's just that damn good. Something with this game resonated with me. I fell in love with the characters. Stock is one of my favorite lead characters of all time in an RPG. Now, aside from this game being completely amazing, gameplay-wise, story-wise, soundtrack-wise, it came out at a certain time in my life when I really needed something like this. It was a time in my life where, those of you know, a few videos back I talked about my ex-wife who recently passed away. When this game came out, it was the start of all of the descent into madness, I like to call it. I was going through just some of the most rough times. It was a horrible, horrible time in my personal life. And this game kind of came and saved me in a way. It was just, for all the hell I was going through in my personal life, at the end of the day I came home and I got lost in this world that was slowly turning to sand. I was using the White Chronicle to rewrite history, jump between timelines, try to save this world. Alistel, Granorg, two empires at war. It was just an amazing time, and I really am thankful for this game. And I play it, and it kind of takes me back to that time, and it's kind of a sense of sadness and also relief that I'm done with that. Not to get too depressing on you. Maybe like a year back, they announced that this was coming for the 3DS, a remade version, and I was just freaking ecstatic, man. I'd love to see a sequel, but if we didn't get a sequel, I was really happy that it was being remade on the 3DS, and I was really excited. And people have been hitting me up left and right, asking me like, "Well, have you played the new Radiant Historia? What do you think? What do you think?" And these are my thoughts. So what we have before you is Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology, and very much like the original edition, it comes in a nice little box set. Now the original was a little box set here with a CD soundtrack. It wasn't a full soundtrack, which is disappointing. It's like a piano arranged version of some of the songs, which, to be honest, I'm not really a big fan of. I really would have preferred a standard soundtrack because Radiant Historia has got one of the best soundtracks in any RPG, in my opinion. It's so good that they didn't even bother fucking with it for the new game. They just left it as is, which is fine. They did create some new tracks for some of the bonus content in this that wasn't available in the original. So very much like the original, this first print run comes in a box set like this. It's got a really nice art book. It's got some stickers. And overall, just a nice package. I was really pleased with the packaging for Radiant Historia. And I gotta say, I didn't want to come and talk about this game until I got far enough into it where I played a lot of the bonus content, some of the stuff that's added for this new version. I just didn't want to read it and say, oh, this is what it is. I wanted to experience it and give my honest opinion on it. Now, I finished the original game a total of 3 times. Once just a regular playthrough, and then once going back and doing certain side quests to get proper endings. Now, the thing I noticed about the new version right away was there was a beautiful animated opening intro. Very well done, very high quality. Really gave a good overall feel of the world and characters. I really enjoyed that. I noticed that there are different character portraits. During the story segments and dialogue, there's a portrait of the character on screen. They've been redrawn. Some better, some I didn't like as well. There are also static, beautiful 2D images depicting key elements throughout the game. So at certain key story points, you're going to get a beautiful static screen of artwork depicting what's happening. That was a really nice touch. One of the favorite things in this new updated version for me personally was the voice acting. Now, it's in English. I've never been a fan of Japanese voice acting. I just can't connect with it. I can't connect with the character when I can't understand what he's saying. Just a personal preference. I know a lot of people prefer Japanese. Myself, I love English voice acting, preferably when it's done well. In the case of Radiant Historia, it is damn well done well. Stock, he's always been a favorite character of mine. This game drew me even closer to him as a character. The voice actor they hired to do Stock is just perfect to a T. His delivery, his inflections in his voice, his believability, very genuine. A+ effort, A+ job. Stock is voiced beautifully, and overall, really the whole cast did a great job. For me, it pulled me that much more into the game. I also noticed that during battle, now you can have characters that are not in your party, but that are still with you, kind of join in for team attacks. That wasn't in the original. That was a cool touch. But the main feature here is the aforementioned third timeline. Now, Radiant Historia, as you know now, is a time-traveling RPG. And time-traveling RPGs, there's a lot you can get wrong, man. It can go into, crazy territory, overindulgent, confusing. It could be a recipe for disaster if not handled properly. Thankfully, Radiant Historia deftly marries the concept with excellent results. So early on in the game, you're given the White Chronicle. Now, it's a book that allows its wielder to kind of leapfrog through time, go back in time to different key points, and redo certain events if the outcome wasn't desirable. Upon using the Chronicle for the first time, you find yourself in Historia, which is kind of a timeless dimension where these two little twins, Leo and Tippy, I believe their names are, they reside over this Historia. And their main goal with the Chronicle is to find a wielder that will prevent the world from turning into desert. Now, many have tried before, many have failed. They believe Stock is the person to finally make this happen. Now, as you play through the game, you're going to be put in these positions where you must make a choice. And as the game goes on, these choices get increasingly nail-bitingly tense, man. You're really invested in the story and invested in these characters. For instance, no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil the game. I wouldn't dare ruin that for anyone. I'll just give a couple situations that are pretty vague. Now, early on, you're in the mine and you're waiting for some explosives to be delivered. You've got an agent that's supposed to be delivering these explosives. You can use these explosives to kind of head off the enemy and trap them in the mine. The guy never shows up, and you're freaking out, and then you must make a decision. Should you go look for the guy, or should you just wait it out? You make a decision, whether it's right or wrong. A certain event will play out, and you are forced to use the Chronicle to kind of go back to the alternate timeline and see just what happened. Was this guy ambushed? Was he killed? Was he working for the enemy? You must go back and right that wrong, so in the future, when you go back to the regular timeline, he's able to deliver the explosives. Later on in the game, you get to a spot where you're trying to sneak into a town, and you're with a group of traveling performers, and you must impress the guards to let you through. They're like, oh, wait a minute, you're traveling performers, what can you do? And at first you're like, oh, fuck, I can't do shit. So you remember that one of your comrades on the army was a skilled sword dancer. That clicked in my head right away. I'm like, oh shit. So you go back to your timeline, and it's all laid out beautifully with a graph of all these different nodes that you can travel back in time to, and it's all listed out perfectly. It lists all the story elements. Everything is handled beautifully, very organized. So you go back to the alternate timeline, you find your contact in the army that was skilled at sword dancing, and you ask him to teach it to you, and then you can go back to the other timeline. Now you're able to perform this elaborate sword dancing technique, and it impresses the guys, and they let you through. Just little touches like that allow the story to advance, giving you some choice, some control. There's choices that will lead to a game over. Just a beautiful story. It's told elegantly. You never are confused or like, whoa, what the hell is going on? They don't throw a million different army generals' names. There's not opposing factions all over the world. It's a very nice, concise story, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. So aside from the standard and alternate timelines, there's a character introduced in the new version named Amissa, who is also a time traveler, and she introduces you to kind of a third timeline, which is a twist on the standard and alternate. Now, in this third timeline, it's going to put you in scenarios that are situations that you've already played through, but a different twist on it. So when you go back to this timeline, you might be in the same situation, but instead of you being a general, this other guy might be general, and it totally twists the story around, and she'll ask you to perform some certain objectives. They started off a little like, okay, go here, kill this guy, get this artifact, come back. But as it went on, it kind of got a little bit more elaborate, and the story really opens up. And what I really appreciated about this bonus content is that it takes this opportunity to kind of explain the backstory, how the upset in the balance of mana has caused the world to start to turn to desert. It really explains how Alistel became what was before it, the Prophet Noah, and how the world is in the state it is in because of this misuse of mana. So I really enjoyed this backstory. It really fleshed it out, and it really comes into effect when the endings kick in. So it's all in all, it's a good edition. It's not groundbreaking. You're able to choose to play the original as it was in the DS, or you can play with the new content woven in. So you've got your choices. Now, the one negative I've got to say, and this was a big negative for me, I was gutted. No 3D. Now, I know a lot of you couldn't give less than a shit, but for myself, RPGs on the 3DS that were presented in beautiful 3D Games such as the Bravely Default series, man, these games blew me away with their use of 3D. Oh, what stands out to me, I remember getting in the town for the first time, and the camera kind of pans back, and it's like a panoramic view, and the 3D on it, everything just pops off the screen. It's like a window into like a little living, breathing village. I was completely blown away. It looked stunning. The overworld map kind of pans back, and you're walking through, and everything is just popping off the screen in 3D. It's just brilliant. It's not a game changer, but I just appreciated the 3D so much in these games. The battle system looked great in 3D. My standout moment in this, I remember you get to this town where it's like nestled in these mountains and they're covered in snow, and you can kind of see little yellow shining through the windows, and it's at night and you can see little smoke coming out of the chimneys. And when that pans back and that 3D's on, it just pops to life, man. It just adds so much personality to the games for me. I absolutely loved these games in 3D. And Radiant Historia would have lent itself great to 3D. I mean, it's got that kind of top-down view where it really popped to life, and it's just really disappointing that in the twilight of the system's life, the 3DS, we're not getting games in 3D anymore. It pisses me off. And as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, the last 3 games that I've bought on the 3DS all share one thing in common. If you look at the bottom, the new Professor Layton, the new Mario and Luigi, Dragon Quest VIII, playable in 2D only. I don't get it. The Professor Layton games looked amazing in 3D. Those beautiful animated CG openings and the storylines all presented in that 3D just popped off the screen. Tapping on the screen and finding clues popped off the screen. I really was upset that the 3D was taken out of these games. I don't want to harp on the 3D too much, but I will say on a positive note, along the same time that I bought these games, there were 2 games that I bought that just had fantastic 3D. First things first being Metroid. And for anybody that scoffed at the 3D power of the 3DS, and I know there's a lot of people, because when the system launched, it really needed to launch with that face tracking 3D right from the beginning, because it was admittedly a pain in the ass. Every time you moved the system the slightest, it would go fuzzy, but the face tracking 3D really solved that. I wish that would have been implemented from the beginning. I think the opinions of a lot of people would have been different had it launched like that, but I gotta say, Metroid in 3D looks absolutely stunning. This is a science fiction game that just pops to life. It's 2D, well, 2.5D, and when the 3D's on, you can just see so far into the back, and there's just like a living, breathing diorama of science fiction epicness. This is 3D done right, and the company that did this, they did Castlevania, and it's very similar, just pops off the screen. The 3D is brilliant in both games. This is a form-fitting send-off to the power of the 3D capabilities, because it just really enhanced the game for me. It looked beautiful. Monster Hunter Stories. I just finished this game not that long ago, and this looked great in 3D as well. A true gem of a game. I really enjoyed Monster Hunter Stories, and it looked amazing in 3D. Before I shy away from the topic of 3D, they just recently announced that one of my favorite GameCube games, Luigi's Mansion, is getting remade on the 3DS. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon was another stellar standout title. It looked amazing in 3D, so I really hope that the first Luigi's Mansion gets the 3D treatment. I'm not holding my breath, but that would be great to see. Same with Bowser's Inside Story, but once again, I'm not holding my breath. It seems like Nintendo themselves have already all but given up on the 3D. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted to make a quick video and gush about my love for Radiant Historia. It hasn't waned after all these years. It was brilliant in 2011. It's still brilliant now. If you're on the fence or haven't picked it up yet, go out, pick it up, get that launch edition before they're gone. Love it, experience it, live it. It's an amazing game, easily in my top RPGs of all time. I'll look forward to a lot of content coming on the channel. I know it sounds like a crazy thing, but I've got some top RPG videos coming for the PS3, 360, and Wii. The Xbox Buyer's Guide's coming, the 10,000 subscriber special. Lots of stuff coming up soon. I hope you guys stick with the channel. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching. Games of War is absolutely nothing without you.